When I start filling out the unit circle, I start with the 4 coordinate points on the edges of the circle. This is just helping me getting my bearings, and I remind myself that the radius is 1, and that just helps me do those things. Then I look at the degrees. I'm familiar with degrees of the angles, and so I started by going by 45, so I just added 45 to each step, and that helped me get the first, 8 angles. Make sure you also have not just 0 degrees, but also 360, because you need to remind yourself that those are coterminal angles. Then I went by 30s around the circle again. I skipped the 90, obviously, because I already had it there. And so then I just fill it out like this. Now I'm going to switch to radians, and I'm going to remind myself that the first spot is that 180 is pi radians, and then 0 is 0 radians, or 2 pi radians. Then I started splitting that pi radians into 2 pieces, and then into 4 pieces, and then into 6 pieces. So now I have my pi over 4s, and then this is my pi over 6, and then this one is going to be my pi over 3. Now I just have to be careful, and I have to count by the right number. So I counted by another pi over 3 to get 2 pi over 3, and then I went another pi over 6 from there, and that's how I got 5 pi over 6. Now I'm counting by another pi over 6, and then another pi over 6, and then another pi over 6 would get me to 3 pi over 2, and then another pi over 6 gives me 5 pi over 3, then another pi over 6 gives me 11 pi over 6. Then I'm going to go back and fill in the ones that are pi over 4s. So this one would be 3 pi over 4. Then the next one that I'm missing is going to be 5 pi over 4. And then the last one that I'm missing is 7 pi over 4. Now I have the radians, and now I just need to do the coordinates. This is kind of a cool trick. You can start in that top right corner and just go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. What you need to do is you need to put square roots over everything. You need to put everything over 2. So I'm going to put everything over 2 first. And then I'm going to find the numbers that aren't 1 and put square roots over them. Now I need to take that same pattern and do them in the other quadrants. In this quadrant, the x values are going to be negative because I'm on the left side of the graph. So I'm just going to follow that same pattern. The y values are still going to be positive. So you can do that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 pattern regardless. In the bottom left corner, both the x values and y values are going to be negative, and so you're going to do the same exact thing, just making sure to reflect the points carefully. I reflect again and go over to the bottom right corner. This time the x values are positive, but the y values are negative. Make sure to divide everything by 2. And now I'm done with the unit circle. Remember that these points are in the form cosine of x, or of theta, and then sine of theta. So the y values are the sines, the cosines are the x values. So then if we go back and look at what parts are positive and negative, the cosine, sine, and tangent values are all the positive values in the first quadrant. In the second quadrant, only sine is positive, negative is cosine and tangent. And then in the third quadrant, tangent is positive, but cosine and sine are both negative. In the fourth quadrant, only cosine is positive. Tangent and sine are negative then. The one thing I wanted to remind myself of is just that tangent is going to be, tangent of theta is y over x, or sine theta divided by cosine theta.